Hey, what's up, fellas? How you doing, man? Antonelli here.
Hey, what's going on, guys? How we doing? Matt Antonelli here. Today, we're looking at college baseball's top 25 preseason rankings. Baseball America just came out with it, and so I get asked all the time from people, what are the top college baseball programs in the country? So we're going to kind of look at this list. We're going to basically focus on the top 10, but I'm going to sprinkle in a couple other names in there as well. When you look at lists like this, almost every year you see a lot of the same teams in it over and over again because they're usually the best teams every single year. So this will really help you guys out for all those people that are asking questions. Let me know in the comment section below what you guys think of the list and if you think it should be any different. Again, this is not my opinion. This is kind of Baseball America's list, and I'm going to give you some of my thoughts as we go through it. Before we do, today's video is powered by Triton. We wear Triton jerseys and gear. Definitely go and check their stuff out. They do a great job. Go to custombaseballjerseys.com, and you can see everything they make over there. Okay, so let's hit on the list here, all right? And the number one team on the list this year is Vanderbilt. Now, Vanderbilt is almost always on this list, right? They're perennially a great team. They always have a top recruiting class, right? They've got Coach Corbin over there, who's one of the best coaches in the country. So let's look at a couple of things when it comes to Vanderbilt. So last year they were 35 and 27. So the record was a little bit down for them from what they typically, what you typically see from them, right? But they still made it to a super regional. So they seem to always do that, no matter years that they're absolutely stacked and they just breeze through everybody, they make it deep. Years where maybe they don't have, maybe they get off to a slow start, or maybe they're a young team and maybe their record isn't great, they always seem to find a way to play really well as they get going into the year to where they finish strong, they get into the regionals and they just kind of turn it on, right? That's just kind of what they do. Now last year they finished 17th. The final rankings were 17th, okay? But they bring back a bunch of players from last year's team that almost got to Omaha, right? So they've got 8 of 9 starters back. They've got 7 of 10 pitchers back who threw at least 20 innings. And so they've got a whole bunch of guys back, and they always have a really, really good recruiting class. So, every year they're going to be in the hunt for a chance to go to the College World Series. They have so many good players. They've built a great culture and a great program there. So Vanderbilt's number one. Number two is LSU. LSU is another one of those programs where, again, it's pretty much like every single year LSU is going to be a top team. Every single year you see players getting drafted really high out of there. Every single year you see them with a really, a top recruiting class. They've been great for forever, right? For literally forever, all right? So let's look at a couple of things when it comes to LSU. Last year they were 39 and 27. They lost in the regional final, okay? So they did not get to a super regional, and they actually ended the year not ranked, okay? So they got some really good news. 3 of their guys decided to go back to school, okay? So they did not go in the draft. They decided to come back, so that's really going to help them out. They've got a pretty experienced pitching staff coming back. They've always got a pretty strong lineup, and so, again, just because they're going to be good. They're always good. They have so many talented players, but I think the LSU across the chest also definitely helps when it comes to rankings, and so they get a really high ranking here, okay? Number 3 is UCLA, okay? A lot of times you see a ton of these ACC and SEC schools in the rankings, but there's also schools out west. You see UCLA, Oregon State obviously won it last year, but UCLA getting ranked really high here, okay? Number 3, if you look at last season, they were 38 and 21, so I had a pretty good year last year, but they lost in the regionals, okay? Didn't make it to a super. They ended the year not ranked, so they were not ranked. But they've got a lot of guys coming back into the lineup, right? Veteran lineup coming back. They always play really good defense, so usually out west you see really good defense played. You see typically really strong pitching, but they don't actually have a ton of experience on the mound. But they do have a couple of their starters back. They've got their closer back, and again, they're a premier program out west. Okay, so they're always going to have good recruiting classes. They always seem to play really good fundamental baseball. Like I said, they usually pitch well. They usually play really good defense, and so they're always going to be ranked pretty high. All right. Number 4, we've got Florida, okay? And Florida, again, has been one of these teams that has made it deep year after year after year. They've got just ridiculous talent, okay? Their recruiting class is always tops, 1, 2, 3, somewhere up there, all right? They've just done a great job. If you look at last year's stats and numbers, 49-21, so really, really good year. Made it to the College World Series, ended up finishing third, okay? So they lost Player of the Year, all right? So they've got a bunch of studs. But they lost some really, really talented players. But good news for them, they always bring in more talented guys, okay? So they've got a top 5 recruiting class, like I said, pretty much every year, all right? And they could be the first team to make it to 5 consecutive College World Series since Stanford did it back in 99 to 03, okay? So, like I said, they're a program that just every year has got a chance to win the College World Series, which is pretty amazing. Number 5, UNC Chapel Hill, okay? Here's a quick fact for you. My last 2 schools that it came down to were Wake Forest or UNC Chapel Hill, okay? It was a really tough decision for me. I didn't know what to choose. I ended up choosing Wake Forest. Loved it there. I wouldn't change that for anything. But UNC Chapel Hill went to the World Series all 3 of my years in college. So I would have had a chance to win 3 national championships. I don't know if I would have helped them to win it, or maybe I would have hurt them and we wouldn't have made it that far those 3 years. But anyways, UNC, another program that every single year has done a fantastic job. They're always a top team in the ACC, and they're always fighting for a chance to go to the World Series and potentially win it. So let's look at last year. Last year they were 44-20. Okay, made it to the College World Series again. Ended up finished the season 4th. And last year they made it with a lot of young players. All right, so a lot of young players, a lot of guys back, and so they should have a chance again to make it. Pretty much every single year they've got a pretty good chance of making it. But you know, this year is no different. Good group of good solid nucleus back of young players, and so we'll see what happens. Number 6, another ACC school, Florida State. Florida State played against Florida State a lot while I was at Wake Forest, and they usually beat the hell out of us. I do remember one year having a really big win down at Florida State, but again, great baseball tradition, great place to go play, especially if you're in the ACC. Their fans are crazy down there. So let's look at last year. 43-19. Okay, their record's always really, really good. Sometimes they don't do as well, at least lately in the tournament and the playoffs. But last year got knocked out in the regionals. Finished 20th, ranked 20th. Okay, Mike Martin's there. He's been there for like 120 years. Okay, one of the best coaches in college baseball, maybe ever. And so this will be his final season. All right, and he's got again a very talented team. They're young, but they're talented. All right. 3rd ranked recruiting class, but they still do have some veteran guys. All right. So it'll be interesting what happens. But again, they're always in it every single year. They've just got so much talent down there. They do a great job recruiting and developing players. So Florida State. Number 7 is Stanford. So we're going to go back out west again. Okay. Stanford is a program that's been solid for, a really, really long time, right? Last year, 45-12. So amazing record last year. Didn't make a supers though. All right, got knocked out in the regionals. They ended up finishing 14th, ranked 14th in the country. They won the Pac-12 last year. So they had a really good offense. They're going to have a good offense again this year, right? They got a couple of veteran guys. They got an All-American closer. All right, so got a really strong bullpen. So it should be another really solid year for Stanford. So next, Texas Tech. Texas Tech, obviously Texas, great baseball down there. Texas Tech made to the World Series, I think, 3 out of the last 5 years. So they're turning into one of those teams that just year after year after year is going to the World Series. So let's look at last year. Last year, 45-20. Okay, went to the World Series, finished 5th. Ended up finishing ranked 5th. Like I said, they've been to Omaha 3 times in the last 5 years. They did lose some players from last year, but they should be pretty stacked again. All right, they usually swing the hell out of the bat, right? So they can really swing it. They got an All-American third baseman and outfielder, and so again, offense is probably going to carry them. They swing the hell out of it, so they'll have a good chance to make it back again. Number 9, Mississippi State. All right, Mississippi State, same thing. They've got great facilities down there. They do a great job recruiting. But again, Mississippi State always really good. Last year, 39-29, so not a great record, but they made it to the World Series and ended up finishing 6th. Kind of an up and down year for them. Like I said, record wasn't great, but they ended up playing well enough late in the year. They're going to have they usually can swing the bat really well. They're going to have a lot of their guys back again. They got a top recruiting class, top 12 recruiting class. They had a first rounder that ended up not signing. All right, so that always helps out when that happens. So a lot of talent, and they're going to have a chance to make a lot of noise again. And number 10 is Oregon State. So the defending national champs come in at number 10. Last year, 55-12, the national champion, ranked number 1. So Pat Casey retired, new coach. They had 3 top 40 picks in the draft. All right, so they lost a lot of guys, a lot of really talented guys. But they've got an All-American catcher back, and he's a favorite to potentially be the number 1 overall pick. They got Freshman of the Year back. All right, so they've got a couple of studs. That's it's always nice when you know you've got some of the best players in the country to kind of build the team around, and so they're always strong, right? They always just play the game really well. They play great defense. They always get pitching. Their pitching is typically one of the best staffs in the country, and so they're going to have a chance to be right back in it again like they are pretty much every single year. All right, let's look at a couple of teams that are ranked just outside the top 10 by Baseball America that'll have a really good chance to be in it, potentially be College World Series teams. The first team is Louisville. So they got them ranked 11th, 45-19 last year, lost in a regional. All right, East Carolina, they got it 12, 44-18, ended up losing in the regionals last year. Ole Miss, 48-17, same thing, knocked out in the regionals. Clemson, 47-16, knocked out in the regionals. Georgia, 39-21, knocked out in the regionals. Then they've got Baylor, Auburn, Arkansas, Texas, Michigan, Southern Miss, Duke, Coastal Carolina, Minnesota, and UC Irvine, okay? So, again, a lot of these teams are teams that you're going to hear of every year. Having a chance to, be a top 25 team, having a chance to get to the World Series, right? Like I said, in baseball, I guess with most sports, you see those typical big powerhouse schools, ACC, SEC, Pac-12, a lot of those schools that are kind of in it every single year. But there's a top 25, focusing on kind of that top 10. Let me know who you guys think is going to win the whole thing this year. I know it's a long ways away. I know that sometimes these pre-draft or these pre-season rankings don't always hold up. But it'll be really interesting to see. I can't wait for the college baseball season to start. Let me know in the comment section below if you're a huge college baseball fan like I am. And that's all we got. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I appreciate it. Comment section below. Subscribe to the channel. Give it a thumbs up. All that good stuff. And we'll talk to you later.